Have you seen these films? World War Z, 28 Days Later, Children of Men or The Road?
I've heard of World War Z, 28 Days Later, and The Road.
Yeah, I've heard of World War Z and 28 Days Later.
I've heard of 28 Days Later and World War Z, but not The Road.
I've heard of all three of them. I've seen two. The World War Z I've not seen, but it's the one with Brad Pitt, right?
What film genre do you associate with the name Dying Days and why?
Generally, an action post-apocalyptic film, possibly because dying refers to a state after an action, so post-apocalyptic.
Thriller, probably post-apocalyptic.
What do you like about post-apocalyptic thrillers?
Generally, it's interesting to see what it would be like in a world in which we have no governing form or order.
I like the suspense and I like being scared. That's quite weird, but I like watching films like that could be real but aren't.
The tension that builds up through the film and how they find out where they got to.
Just the kind of bleakness of them, really, and the fact that they don't always resolve themselves in comfortable ways. So they kind of unsettle you, unnerve you, and they make you think.
What do you dislike about post-apocalyptic thrillers?
Probably the same thing. It's just that feeling of like you always feel kind of like quite uncomfortable all the way through. Like you try to think, you try to think that everyone's kind of, especially with like something like The Road, where it's so brutal. It's kind of like everything in that just kind of starts badly and goes worse.
How unrealistic the film is.
Sometimes they give away things too quickly and it kind of gets a bit boring because you just know what's going to happen.
A lot of them can become too filled with action, and there's not enough left up to the viewer to decide on or think about.
What do you expect to see from a post-apocalyptic thriller?
There needs to be some form of action, but also some character development, and the struggles of the characters should be shown and portrayed accurately.
It's like an emotional kind of hook, some kind of psychological kind of shift or change in the narrative, gore, brute force. I expect them to be quite kind of haunting and slow as well.
Zombies and dead people.
I like there to be like a lot of suspense, and although I want bad things to happen in the middle, it always has to end nicely.
What do you think the best setting may be for a post-apocalyptic thriller?
A city or a town that's been run down and taken over by people who may not manage it in the best way.
Like an abandoned warehouse, an abandoned city, like loads of rundown buildings.
A rundown city.
Oh, crikey. Cities are always good, aren't they? Just like, like 28 Days Later, where he's kind of walking along one of, is it crossing like Southwark Bridge or London Bridge? Oh, Westminster Bridge, isn't it, I think. So yeah, like deserted cities are always good. Very kind of like brutalist. I always associate them with like very brutalist architecture. So like council estates, that kind of stuff. I think would be quite, in terms of a setting to start a post-apocalyptic film. I think, yeah, kind of like the brutalist kind of council estates of like kind of 50s, 60s, 70s would be a nice place to kind of begin. But other than that, just kind of urban areas.
If you were to watch a post-apocalyptic thriller, what would you like to see in the opening sequence?
In the opening sequence, if it permits itself, I'd like to see some way in which the environment became post-apocalyptic and the event which led to the destruction of the environment.
Just a period of time where you're trying to suss out what's happened, how they've got to kind of where they are. I think that kind of build up and that kind of uncertainty and ambiguity, I think, is really important.
Like the setting for the rest of the film.
Sometimes it's quite good when it gives like a flash to the end and then it starts the actual like film.